everyone and welcome. I do not have an intro, but I have a brand new video for you. In this video, we are continuing our cold climate zoo, or Cliffside Zoo. I still go back and forth on the name. I still haven't really decided it, so bear with me. One day I'll just randomly decide it, or, I mean, you can let me know what you like more. I think Cliffside Zoo sounds basic, but better than Cold Climate Zoo. But Cold Climate Zoo really lets you know what it is about. So if this is the first video you've ever seen from this series, it's a Cold Climate Zoo, and it's set along a cliffside, like a river. Like a cliffside on a river, whatever. So, we are building kind of for animals that can survive for a couple of days in the snow, and one of these animals that we are building for today is the American bison, and I just gotta say, the American bison is one of my absolute favorite animals ever. My favorite animal is a toucan? I'm not sure. But that is my favorite animal in general. I remember the first time I saw one, it was like, I guess like 2014, and the first time, I mean, maybe I've seen it as a kid and I didn't really like register it, but the first time that I like consciously saw it, and I was so excited about it, and I was with my dad, and I think he was like, what the heck is she doing? Because I was like, oh my god, that's a toucan. And yeah, well, that's a toucan. And you don't really see that, like a toucan, a lot in German zoos, so it's fairly rare that I will see one. But the American bison you see quite often in zoos. And I just think it's so beautiful. I know it's kind of a weird animal to, you know, have as one of your favorite animals, but I just think it's such a cool animal. Also, I saw it in the Bronx Zoo in New York, and they had this like whole like a billboard that was all about like we're trying to make it the other national animal for the United States and something, and I just thought that was really cool. And I don't know, I mean, there's nothing wrong with the eagle, but I think the bison is a lot more American, so I would like that. But yeah, I really love American bisons. I think they're so cool. In general, I have such a soft spot for like cattle. I think cows are so cute, and they have beautiful eyelashes, which is such a weird detail to notice on a cow, but if you ever look at the eyelashes, and like the eyes of a cow are just so beautiful and warm and nice and sweet. I really like that. I'm also a really, really big proponent, is that the word? I really hope that in Planet Zoo we will get the Scottish Highland cattle, and because oh my god, that is such a cute cow or cattle, but I really hope so. And then the American bison is like a cow, but like a really metal cow, you know what I mean? It's so big and so fluffy, and it looks so strong and like you know, just like ready. I can't really explain it. It's very late. I've said it before, but I live next to a huge construction site, so the only time that I get to talk to you without featuring a drill hammer is middle of the night. So I tend to be very, very tired. By the way, my new job is going really well. It is so much fun. Everyone is really nice. And so far, I think that I will be able to keep uploading 2 videos a week. But I think I will switch the day. But that has nothing to do with the new job. It has to do with now that I have over 100 followers in here. I know that's not a lot in YouTube world, but it is really cool. I can actually see when the active times are, like the YouTube things you can do. You can see when the people that watch your videos are the most active, and so far I've been posting on Wednesdays, and now I can see that Wednesdays are actually like the slowest days. So I'm switching it to Tuesday for now, and I might also switch Saturday for Friday, but either way, whatever I switch it around, I will always keep it so that there's either 2 or 3 days between the videos, so that they're like even throughout the week. But yeah, I still hope that I can maintain it, because now it is not horribly time consuming. It's more like energy consuming for now, which is fine because that will change, you know, if once you really like, you know, get used to your new job, I think it feels less energy consuming. But I hope that once I'm more used to everything, it'll just be like a piece of cake, because I don't think it will be too time consuming. I'm not working the full hours now that I will be working, but yeah, I just hope that I can continue this and continue to post 2 videos a week. Maybe I'll miss some, but I mean, it is what it is. I can't really change that. But so far the job is really cool, and it's so much fun so far that, you know, I couldn't even be mad about it. But let's talk about the build today. So, if you've never seen a video of the Cold Climate Zoo thing, the series, I guess, we are building a very, very modern zoo. So the only limitations that I've given myself here is that the animals must be able to survive in around 0-degree weather, and the zoo has to be very, very modern. And that is something that, you know, we do with this. This isn't really a very build heavy video, because I didn't record doing the interior for their little stable thing because I thought it would be very basic and boring to see. It turns out to be a nice stable. I like how it turned out. It's not the most realistic, but more realistic than I thought it would be. But you will see that in the cinematics in the end, and probably at some point in a little bit of a zoo tour. But yeah, I didn't record it, but then when it was done, I was like, well, I should have recorded it. But it is what it is, right? So, I mean, you will see it in the cinematics anyway, but with that not having a huge build portion of this, it has a huge portion of foliage work. So I think like 80% of this is just me placing plants and trees and bushes and flowers and vegetation and foliage, you know. But yeah, there's a lot. And I do really like how when you're building something, like just anything basically, you will always find like a new plant each time. And this is also like kind of a tip that I can give to you when you're building. If you're stuck with something, go through, and this sounds time consuming because it is, but if you really want to, go through the menu, look at each and every piece of foliage that you have for your game, and kind of make a palette. Find interesting pieces that you want to use, find cool plants that you want to use, whatever it is that you're currently struggling with. This is also something that I always do before starting a new zoo. I go through the entire menu, pick out every single piece that I feel like will be fitting for what I'm trying to do in a certain park. Unless I don't really have an aesthetic in mind. Like with the base game zoo, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I do have a little bit of a series where I've challenged myself to only build using base game pieces and kind of make a base game zoo with all the base game animals and only base game pieces, right? Anyway, with this, I didn't do that because I didn't have a clear idea for an aesthetic, which is basically like the whole idea behind it, is that it doesn't have a clear aesthetic. I can just build however I want. Whilst this obviously does have a clear aesthetic that I had in mind, which is being very modern. What we're building right now, you might be wondering, so underneath the path that the visitors walk over is actually the stable for the bisons, and I try to make myself include more daylight into all of my shelters, because I don't know, I kept forgetting it not really forgetting it, but let's be honest, being too lazy to make it in the last few things that I built, like with the links and stuff. So I try to incorporate this more. And what we did here is kind of have a flower bed. And in the middle of the flower bed is like a skylight that goes, like, that leads light into the bison stable. So the bison stable is underneath where the visitors walk. It's kind of hard to explain, so I hope that you've been able to see it in the video. But we will have these windows there, and you can see me struggle now for a while because the rotation stuff did the thing that it sometimes does, and it drives you crazy. Yeah, well, these windows are actually open, which is something that I really like doing. It's such a, like, small detail, and it doesn't make sense, but, oh my god, I was struggling so much with this, but, well, I confused myself now, but, yeah, the opening windows, they're a thing that I quite like to do, and, that, as you can tell here, it can be hard to do, but I managed to do it. Oh my god, I'm really losing my place here. Yeah, so we have this, and then the visitors kind of see this flower bed with a window in the middle, and I quite like this idea. Like, I don't know how I came up with this. It was just like, I think it's kind of born out of the necessity for more daylight in the stable, and also wanting like a special feature up top. So that kind of came together nicely. It's not like I had this idea, it really just kind of, I guess, came along while I was building the path, because I left this open field in the middle and the path, which I originally only wanted that to be a flower bed. But I mean, then I was like, well, do I give them a shelter underneath? Because I was originally planning to just not bother with a shelter for this, because I do think the bisons are, like, they are like big animals, right? And they live outside, so, I mean, I guess technically every animal does, whatever. Moving on from that statement, but I felt like I wasn't gonna give them a shelter, and then I did. But yeah, I mean, it's a very big kind of enclosure, and there are fairly many bisons in there, because, I mean, I love them, and I want to be able to, like, whenever I look at this myself, I want to be able to see a bison right away. So there's a lot of bisons in there, and it's really fun that the bisons actually allow you to have 3 males and I think like 15 females or something, or a group of 15 or something around that. And I always like when you're able to have multiple males in an exhibit, like if the game gives you that option. I mean, I'm playing in sandbox, so technically I could have like 1 million, but for some reason that is one of the things that I actually try to go with. Whatever. But yeah, well, a lot of times I think that the male animal often looks really cool. Or cooler than the female one, and so, yeah, you know, I mean, it's like with lions, you kind of look for the male, even though actually I think that the ladies are way cooler because they're hunting, but you know, it's one of those things. You can kind of always, a lot of times with animals, you can pick out the male very easily, and so you kind of tend to look for them. And I think it's nice if you're able to have multiple in one exhibit. But like I said, it doesn't really make sense because I play sandbox anyway, and I have everything turned off. But for some reason, I still look at that. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bisons. I think it's like 7 or 8 that are in there. Maybe less. I don't know. But yeah, like I said, I just wanted to always look at them because I think they're so cool. And in the game specifically, but also in real life, they always kind of look like they're contemplating life, which I think is such a weird quality in an animal. But just like take some time and watch the bisons in your game, and you will see what I mean. They look like they know things. And I don't know, they're just really cute. They have a really, really cool, like, grazing animation. They're just so well made, and their face is so cute, and they have super, super big noses, and oh my god, I just love them. They're so cute. Now we are building the entrance to the stable section, so now you can kind of see that it is underneath where the visitors walk. It's not the most realistic entrance because would actually need like a gate and stuff. But yeah, whatever. So I didn't build the interior, which I think at some point now we will kind of skip to. And I'm now realizing that I left a lot of like skipping through the ceiling here. I hope that's not making anyone dizzy. If so, I'm really sorry, but I kind of didn't catch that. I wanted to cut that out, but I thought I did, but whatever. But that's actually the reason that I didn't really record the interior, because I thought, I'm probably going to like slip through the ceiling a lot, and it's just going to be wild to watch when it's sped up. Yeah, I'm kind of, I wish I did record it, because I do quite like how it turned out, despite not being most realistic. I think it looks nice in the end, and I wish I had recorded it, but I didn't, so, I'm not going to be upset about that. But yeah, back to foliage work. Like I said, it's like 80% of this is foliage work, and it now looks like there's some foliage in there. Trust me, it's not even like 10% of the foliage that there is going to be in the end. And they still have a lot of open space to roam, which I think is quite important, especially with the big animals, because, and I mean, I gotta say they already do it in this enclosure, but a lot of times with the Planet Zoo animals that are really, really big, and you build enclosures that have a lot of stuff in there, even if the enclosure is big, they do this thing where they turn around standing in one place, like they don't walk like in a circle or something to turn around. They just like turn around on the spot, and they make this continuous, they continuously do the same animation of like rotating their body, and that is kind of weird, and unfortunately they kind of do it in this enclosure, despite them having actually a lot of space, and the traversable area is quite good, and I really tried to not take away much from their traversable area with all of the foliage. But I wanted it to be lush because I love lush foliage, and like I said before, I know it's not the most realistic thing. I know that for a lot of animals you would technically have the things kind of, sectioned off away from their reach, but I don't do that because I love myself some really heavy foliage. So, but I really went out of my way with this one. It's a lot. And yeah, well, so we are, if in case you didn't notice so far, we are kind of climbing up a mountain here. So slowly but surely the way is going to get up further, and kind of bring us more higher up in the into the mountain. So I think for the next few videos of this, we are going to be working on a way up, and then later at some point we're gonna go back to the entrance, probably, maybe add like, maybe some food stuff, and then also to the other side of the entrance we also have the sea lions to worry about. But yeah, we'll get to this. For now, I'm really focused on wanting to build up to this mountain that we've started kind of in the back, and that will be the focus of the next few videos. So more animals that live alongside this. The bisons right now, in case you couldn't tell, they live outside, kind of outside. Well, obviously they live outside. Well, they live on the perimeter of the zoo. They live like right where the river is. That the river is the one that kind of is the border of the zoo, basically, or the park, or the whatever you want to call it. But so they live alongside the river. They can't reach the river because I didn't want them swimming around in it. They do have a little bit of a water hole there. It's I'm not sure. I don't think they need to swim, but they do swim in it. But they can't reach the river. It's too steep, which is what I wanted. So because I didn't want them to swim in it, I didn't want them to be able to reach the ibexes. They are right next to the ibexes. Because if they could reach the ibexes, they could also reach the restaurant and the little pier thing, and I don't think it's too safe to have the huge bison suddenly show up to the restaurant. I think that would be really scary, even if I think that they're really cute animals, and I would probably be excited, but I would be very scared too. But yeah, more foliage. Oh my god, more foliage work. I can't talk. I'm sorry. I will say it again and again, but it is very late when I'm recording this. So yeah, I hope it's not too distracting when I'm struggling with words here. But I really try to really talk for the entirety of these videos. Because I often find myself like kind of being more immersed with a video as long as there's someone talking to me. So I really try to do that for you guys too, because I think ultimately if you don't like someone talking, you can turn it off right away, right? But if you do like someone talking, it's nice that someone keeps talking. So I try to always do that. I'm sure there will be times where I won't be doing this, and also it's kind of hard to time sometimes because I'm recording this in Premiere, and in Premiere you can't really see when you're like close to the end. I mean, you can see it, but you kind of have to zoom out to see your entire timeline of a video, and that's not very precise to see then. So I already can kind of like guess when I'm done. So that's why sometimes I will leave you with some of the music, but genuinely I try to talk for as long as I can. Sometimes I kind of write something down if I have a lot to say, but for this one, actually I didn't do that, which I'm surprised I did think of some things to say, because the only thing I knew that I wanted to say was that I'm switching from Wednesdays to Thursdays. Wait, is it Thursdays or Tuesdays? I think it's Thursdays, right? Well, I'm not a native speaker, but you will see the day that this comes out is the day that I switched it to. And so yeah, professional. Okay, well, I was just praising myself for not running out of things to talk about and trying really, really hard to talk for the long time, and now I can't think of anything to talk about. But yeah, I mean, how do you like this series so far? Oh, by the way, no, we do have something to talk about. The whole thing with calling it Cold Climate Zoo and Cliffside Zoo really bothers me. So if there's an idea that you have for it, or if you're just like, just call it Cliffside Zoo, I'll be really happy to hear about that. That would really help me out. I know that there's some people that really, really comment a lot, and that is so cool and nice, and I'm always really happy to see people comment. I do recognize now that there's some people that keep commenting, and that is so sweet and so nice. So definitely, if you have any idea or feedbacks, any ideas or feedback, or you just, you want to say like, I don't really care what this is called, then feel free to do that. That really helps me out, especially with things that, I'm not sure how I want to do them, because, I'm super new to this. What do I know? But, oh, by the way, the thing that we're looking at right now, I know I'm switching topics like crazy here, but what we're looking at right now is kind of a peak. You walk up this little hill thing, it's kind of like a windy path, right? And at one of the curves of the path, there's not really any foliage obstructing the view, so you can kind of get like a peek into the bison habitat before entering the huge like viewing platform. And I quite like this. I tried to film some cinematics from there, but didn't quite get it because the bisons are really far away, and it's one of the things that I think in real life would be really cool, but in the game just kind of, doesn't show as much. But in a few seconds you will see me actually use a tip that I've seen, I think, Rudy Rencamel give people, which is like using the decoration, what is it called? The decals, I think, from the Europack to kind of make a path more like fizzled out, like kind of like grasses growing on it. So that is a trick that I'll be using in probably like a couple of seconds or a minute or something, to make this like windy path a bit more natural looking, because I did use the path that is kind of like looks like wood chips. I really like that path, and I was really struggling. I definitely knew that I wanted to give it a railing, because I think while this isn't a steep way up, and for it being winding up, you know, like curly, I guess, it should be accessible for a wheelchair, but I do still think it's important to think about that there's people who do walk, but they're not like the best walkers, I guess. Like, how would you say that? Like, elderly people, right? Like, they just don't have the strength to walk up there, and it's nice for them to be able to hold on to something. And also, like, personally for me, my mom has a very, very damaged hearing. And if you don't know, a lot of ear balance is actually located in your ear. So if you have like injuries on your ears, it can really mess with like your sense of balance, and you feel like dizzy a lot from it. And I think it's called vertigo in English, but essentially you can feel like everything is spinning or the ground is shifting. And so if your ears are damaged, it can be fairly hard to walk, and it's not that it is really actually hard to walk, but like physically demanding to walk, but you get really insecure because you always feel like you might fall. And so I definitely, since my mom was struggling with this, like kind of noticed these things when there is something and I'm just like, why is there no railing to hold on to? Like, this is really like bad, right? So I'm trying to include this because I know that these things actually matter. And I try to do it with like pieces, like building it myself. But first of all, you know, I struggle with fences, and also this whole like curly up the hill kind of way was very hard to build a fence on. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to use the in-game railing. But the in-game railing of the path that I wanted to use just doesn't look modern at all. And then I tried to different paths, and then I didn't like them. So I end up using the path that comes with like the wood chip way. It's not ideal. I'm not happy with it. But I do think it does the job, and it is better than not having railing. And I also do kind of think that it looks nice because it does kind of feel like more cozy, I guess, because it encloses the way more, the path more. And yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely happy with that railing, but it is what it is. And yeah, maybe I'll go back one day and do make a custom railing for it. Maybe one day, hopefully in the future, Frontier allows us to use different railings with other paths, like the actual path be one thing and the railing you can use from another path, because it is really not nice that they are locked with each other. That's actually one of my biggest wishes for this game is that and new robes. I want recolorable robes is one of the things that I'm wishing for the absolute most. It really just bothers me that with the robes you have the pieces that I think came with the South America pack, or maybe the aquatic, I don't know, but there is these robes that look like they're wrapped around something. They're like wrapped around like a wood beam or something. And then there's the robes that are from the climbable rope things that a lot of people use for like climbing structures and whatnot. And the climbing robes are way lighter than the other ones, and that drives me crazy. I just want them to be recolorable. That is actually my number one thing that I wish we could have building wise. That and the paths, right? I mean, there's a lot of things that'd be cool, but generally I'm not very critical of the game. It is my favorite game ever, and I do think it does absolutely everything that it does right, but there's some things that if they would have just improved on that, I'd be even happier with it. But it's by no means a critique, and I do think that this game is so much fun, and if tomorrow they said, you know what, we're not ever going to change anything about it again, I wouldn't be mad. I would still play it. There's nothing that I'm like, I need this, right? But I mean, those would probably be my two things that I think about the most, that like I'm building and I'm like, I wish that was a thing. There's other things I'm wishing for, obviously, but I mean, these are just, you know, if they ever come to the game, I'm like, okay, cool. But the other two things, I'd be like, finally, you know? So yeah, definitely for me, that is ropes and, pairing up different paths with different railings. And I don't think either of these things are like unreasonable things to ask. But since we're almost at the end of this, my question for you guys is, what are the two build things, not animals, but build things that you would want before this game finishes development? So yeah, let me know. If you agree with me, or maybe you need something totally different, just let me know. Maybe I will find out that I need that too and didn't even ever thought about it. So, but now I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I hope you're going to enjoy the cinematics in a few seconds. I hope to see you around for another video. Bye!